Welcome to the show. We're going to look at a couple of issues. The new hate speech laws have just dropped, and we're going to look at an Australian comedian. And these hate speech laws are affecting myself and everybody who speaks out against a certain country in the Middle East. So I don't know what I can say and what I can't say because the legislation, as we're going to find out, says that if someone takes offence, and it's about a specific group, not just a group of people, but it also adds in nation. And yeah, it saddens me that a leftist government, so-called leftist government, but there is no left anymore. Yeah, it's done. A Labor government here in Australia, which is the left government traditionally, which brought in free healthcare, which brought in free education. It's all been rolled back, state utilities. It's all been sort of just left underfunded and slowly dismantled so that it becomes basically it can't function anymore. And so therefore they point to it and say, look, it doesn't work anymore. So let's scrap it. Let's bring in the private sector. Let's privatize it all. And then, it gets destroyed and our lives get worse. Giving taxpayer dollars to hedge funds to manage, so-called to manage public utilities. I thought that was bad enough, but now they've rolled over to Project 2025 and what happened in America with the silencing of academics and free speech, still going on, has now reached the shores of Australia. And so I don't know if I'm going to get prosecuted with my 28 subscribers, but I get threats almost every day about how they're going to report me and have me prosecuted because I showed Hassan Piker once. And, my videos, I speak out against the genocide. So, if you don't see me anymore, that's why. So, that's the first thing. And then after that, we're going to look at Penguin0 and him talking about the Epstein files. A new batch of Epstein files has been dropped. And Elon Musk is on it. So we'll get into all of that. And just a reminder that we're ruled by elite pedophile killers. So, like and subscribe. Whatever that means anymore. Because I'm about to be taken off air because, with 28 subscribers, because, freedom of speech is gone. We live in a dangerous world, folks. But let's get onto the show. So, this guy is Lewis Spears. Go subscribe. And he is talking about the lost freedom of speech.
The Australian government recently passed hate speech laws that are so broad and poorly defined that the Attorney General herself could not say clearly whether or not criticising the actions of a foreign government would or would not be classified as hate speech under the new laws.
But just to be clear, if a group is saying Israel is engaged, or they're saying Israel should no longer exist, that is not enough for that group to be banned.
Well, again, that would depend on the other evidence that is gathered, David. So I would be reluctant to be naming and ruling in and ruling out specific kinds of conduct that you are describing.
You heard that right. An official representative in charge of communicating the rules of the new laws they've just passed was unable to say whether or not criticising the actions of a foreign government could get you prosecuted by them.
But surely we all need to know what will be against the law. This matters in terms of what your law will mean. So what would it take for a group that's doing that to be banned?
No, it certainly does. And your viewers have every right to know what the scope of this is. And we have been clear from the outset about the kinds of groups that we are.
You haven't been clear at all. That's a lie. And basically you've rolled over to empire. You're an empire bootlicker. And you support, Donald Trump and the right-wing Nazi plan to destroy the left. That's what this is. That's all this is. And it's happening all over the world because this is Project 2025. This is Trump's plan. And, just all these minions and bootlickers are carrying it out. And they're using this Trojan horse of anti-Semitism. Everyone knows it's not true. It's a way to silence the movement, the pro-Palestinian thing. So, yeah, and they're being very vague about it because there's no judicial review. So you can't go in front of a court and go, hey, this is wrong. Basically now, the Governor-General just decides that you're a threat, and away to jail you go. You get black-bagged and you get taken off to jail. So I'm serious when I say if I disappear, that's what's happened. More than likely.
Seeking to bring within this regime. This will include those groups that have so far managed to not do anything that is against the law or would otherwise attract criminal conduct provisions.
If you can't clearly answer questions about whether or not we can criticise a foreign government, essentially what you're telling me is hate speech is whatever you say that it is, whenever you feel like it is.
Okay, the responsibility now rests with you, I think, to explain, 500 pages, this document, to the Aussie public. As an example, if someone or a group says Israel engaged in genocide, will they be prosecuted now?
Can I start with what the legislation does? It does a number of things. Obviously, one of the things it does is it enables...
This is Penny Wong, the foreign minister. And see how she just pivoted away there? Don't answer the question. So this is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to come after us hard. Fascism is spreading across the Western world. Notice how I said the Western world, because that's your go-to move. All governments just, with their elite pedophile billionaires. Yeah, and just a note on that, Elon Musk, it's come out that we'll get into it, but he's begging to go to Epstein Island, along with his brother. So, and then he's going around calling Muslim people, terrorists and rapists. You know, every accusation is a confession with that guy. So, yeah, he's whipped up all this fascism in Europe, and now, like, people in England, like Tommy Robinson, and the Nazis here, Thomas Sewell, you know, he's whipping up, LARPing as a man, and doing his little marches, doing his little boy marches, where the Nazis groom the red pill Andrew Tate crowd all the way. You know, it's just insane the way this world is going, and people aren't mad. They're just like, oh, okay, I guess this is the new normal now.
A minister to cancel and suspend visas of people who come to Australia to preach hatred. What we are trying to do is to crack down on groups who seek to incite hatred for the purposes of engaging in incitement and criminal activity. We're not seeking to crack down on people's difference of political debate.
In this video, we're going to break down to the best of my ability how these hate speech laws are explained, what powers the police and the government are given, and how it can affect you. Perhaps the scariest thing is that hate speech is generally defined by whatever makes someone or a group of people feel like they could be harassed. Not actually be harassed, not actually.
So you notice that the word feel is doing a lot of heavy lifting. So, you know, what does that mean? I mean, in the legal sense, you know, they're going to have to look at the actual wording of the clause. Calls a reasonable person. What's a reasonable person? So we don't know. These terms have to be kind of defined. And so I'm guessing it's going to have to go to a high court challenge. And it will have to go to, it's because it's contravenes the Constitution, even though we don't have a Bill of Rights, and it is the shortest constitution of any country in the world. There is some implied. The High Court has said in the past, in previous decisions, that there's some implied rights. Now, a caveat on all this: I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. Nobody knows. And that's the thing of this. And it's only going to breed resentment towards the government and the law. That's what happens. People get told, what, I can't talk about this? And then, and people self-censor, like I'm self-censoring. You know, I get locked up in jail. There's a high likelihood they will kill me. That's just, I'm not a fool. I know what time it is. I'm Indigenous, bro.
Actually be the victims of violence or calls to violence, but feel like potentially they might in the future at some arbitrary point in time could potentially maybe get harassed as a result of your tweet. So
under the legislation, people will still be able, or groups will still be able to say that.
Well, I'm not going to get into. It's not hypotheticals about what can and can't be said. I'm making a point about the way the legislation works.
Do you think people should be able to say that?
I don't believe that. The government's position is that the State of Israel has a right to exist, and we seek two states because that is the best way to ensure long-term peace and security for both Israelis and Palestinians.
All right, Senator, there's a lot to digest in all of this, and we appreciate you being on.
As a comedian who has literally been protested by religious groups for telling jokes about their beliefs that were not hateful at all, these new laws are incredibly concerning to me, especially because it seems like no politician can answer any sort of straightforward question about what is and what is not hate speech. Clearly, these laws are designed to be used as a weapon without any justification needed. Written into these laws is something that literally denies anyone targeted by these laws any right to procedural fairness. That's right, if you're found guilty of hate speech under these laws or miscategorized as a hate group due to a mistake or unfair proceedings, you have no right of return. You cannot fight back. It just happens to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. These laws have fractured the coalition, our second biggest political party in the country, and freedom of speech legal experts are saying that it's going to completely disrupt people's ability to freely assemble and protest. So, in this video, I'm going to do my best to break down the government's official communication through the ABC about these laws and how they work and how they can affect you, me, and the rest of this country. If you enjoy this video and want to support comedy and free speech, follow the Spearhead Sundays podcast on Spotify, like, subscribe, and let's break it down. I've pulled up this article by the ABC that attempts to explain these laws and ask some questions. And you just see how incredibly vague this is. New hate laws have passed Parliament. What do they actually do? And this fucking article is like 5 pages long and they don't really answer it because no one knows, not even the fucking politicians that passed it. Parliament has just passed the toughest federal hate speech laws in Australia's history, and no one can tell me what it is. Labor has been open that the legislation introduced in the wake of the Bondi terror attack is primarily aimed at tackling hate groups that promote anti-Semitism, and that revisiting the laws to include other minority groups is not a priority. So already they're calling it hate speech laws, but it's not hate speech laws. It's just laws to protect one group, right? Which makes no fucking sense.
So, yeah, that's going to go down well. I mean, this is going to feed the Nazis' arguments, basically. Even though, you know, I think they're peas in a pod, but, you know, they can use this and say, look, it's just this one group being sort of highlighted here, and it's going to be a way where it's going to cause anti-Semitism. So, yeah, we don't know how this is going to be enacted, what's going to happen, and it's putting a chilling effect.
If you are only protecting one group from speech, you elevate that group above everyone else, and now you can't criticize this group for any reason. And guess what breeds way more anti-Semitism? Right? This anti-Semitic belief that Jews run the world and you can't criticize them or whatever, like this plays directly into that.
I haven't pre-watched this, so yeah, he's just said this same thing. So, look, this is the way the world's going now. We live in dark, dangerous times. And I think the ordinary person in the street has to start waking up to this. All our freedoms across the world are getting attacked and suppressed. I mean, what does that say? What's the old saying? If you want to know who rules you, just find out who you can't criticize. Yeah, I read it in the saying, but anyway, you get my point. You know, one specific group can't be criticised. Fine, you can call Aboriginal people trash and garbage and, you know, rapists and, you know, criminals, which they've been doing for decades. So, yeah, there's no problem there. We've had a Racial Discrimination Act. And nobody, I don't think from memory, has ever been prosecuted for it. And it's a civil thing. You know, people don't go to jail. Because, you know, the racists are so racist, they'd lose their minds. But yeah, I mean, this is going to get worse if it ever gets better. But the fact that there's no judicial oversight, you know, yeah, it's dark times. I don't have anything positive to say about this.
And am I going to get arrested for saying that? I don't know. Luckily, this is a solo podcast, so I can't possibly be categorized as a hate group.
Yeah, same. But now that I'm reacting to his video, they might put me in us together as a hate group. And go, see, you're reacting to his video. You're part of the thing.
The legislation passed with Liberal Party support, though the Nationals, Greens and One Nation voted against it, citing various concerns around free speech. Great. So the Nationals, Greens and One Nation are gonna form the most schizophrenic coalition in history.
And that's the One Nation, well, that's the sort of far right Nazi adjacent party. I mean, there are a couple of degrees of separation from them and full-on neo-Nazis. And there are a lot of neo-Nazis in their ranks, I bet. Or at least with sympathies. Because at their recent rally, the audience was chanting Nazi slogans. So, there's that.
And somehow they'll get along better than the Liberals and the Nationals do. For all my American listeners, the Liberals in Australia are the right-wing party. They're like centre-right here in Australia. Labor's...
Yeah, they're classical. They're called Liberals because they're classical liberals. The idea of laissez-faire, free markets, that shit, basically. Pretty much libertarians. Libertarian light. That sort of shit. Small government. I mean, what the Republican Party pretended to be in the past.
Draft legislation, by the way, excuse my incredibly pale legs. It is 40 degrees in this hellhole of a country. White people should not live here.
As an Indigenous man, yeah, I'm feeling the heat too. But yeah, I see everyone else melting on the sidewalks.
We're not built for it. I walk my dog for 7 minutes. I come home with skin cancer. We shouldn't be here. All right? The Australia Day's coming up. The sun is so harsh that I'm thinking, you know what? We all got to leave for our own good. We got to give it back to the Aboriginals, but just the really dark ones, because I think they're the only people that can fucking take the UV in this ozoneless country. We need to get Whitey out of this country for our own good. I
did not expect that bit, but there you go.
Woman this morning that had beautiful, muscular runner's legs, an incredible athletic body, and then I looked at her face and she looked 85 because white people are not supposed to be in the sun in this country. We got to give it back.
Shout outs. So, yeah, so that's the state of the laws in Australia and the political situation. We're screwed. So, yeah, check out my brother from another mother, Lewis Spears. Now we're going to switch to Penguin0. And he's going to talk about the Epstein files drop.
Wow. A massive batch of Epstein files just dropped in hot, fresh off the battle bus here from the top turnbuckle out of nowhere. Like, I didn't think we'd even see any more with the DOJ putting up that huge stink even recently about like how courts can't force them to release it, this and that. It seemed like this was never going to happen because getting them to comply with the law was like pulling teeth. So they were a month late, but they actually released like millions of Epstein files. And there are huge, disgusting, evil things that have been uncovered in this latest batch of Epstein files. This time around, it's a little different than their previous release where there were hundreds of pages of blacked out redactions, and that was basically it. This is what you saw with the Epstein files, except I thought that was going to make the camera go black. You get the idea. It was basically just staring into the fucking void. It was just pitch black because everything was redacted. It was just a lot of nothing. But even amidst that nothing, they were so fucking incompetent that they left in the ability to unredact the files yourself, where people were able to catch them breaking the law, where a lot of the redacted names were not names of victims.
Yeah, just to buttress that point, it's really, the only sort of silver lining is that they're so incompetent that they make such blatant, stupid mistakes that, they expose themselves, and that's to our benefit.
There were various other things, and a lot of the redactions were clearly not victims. Sometimes it even seemed like the redactions were there to protect the names of potential clients and perpetrators, which again is a complete violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act that they were supposed to be following. But again, even with them farting out completely blacked out pages to protect these pedophiles in power, there were still a lot of huge revelations that came from this, such as co-conspirators that for some reason they never pursued. We don't know who they were because their names have been redacted conveniently, but we learned that there were co-conspirators they were investigating, and I guess they just let the leads dry up and then just said, fiddlesticks, they're gone. Now time to pretend they don't exist. Like Kash Patel under oath lying about it. Perjury Patel, by the way, still not punished for it. And speaking of unpunished, you know who else has been unpunished? Every fucking Epstein client, all of these rapists and pedophiles, all of them still just getting away with these unthinkable crimes. No one being handcuffed and thrown in the slammer. Doesn't even seem like they're pursuing any investigations or anything into it. Across 2 administrations now, no fucking arrests outside of Maxwell, who Trump has done everything in his power to ensure she is treated like a queen at a new summer camp that she now resides at. Barely even a fucking prison.
Yeah, and, to think about it, like Rachel Good and Alex Preddy, are lying dead and cold in the ground. They get no justice. And these rich, elite, billionaire pedophiles walk amongst us and breathe the free air, and will most probably face no accountability. And everyone's like, oh, I guess that's just the way things are. Fucking sheep, man.
This is lunacy of the highest caliber. Now, anyway, I know I'm getting kind of sidetracked here with like the previously on Dragon Ball Z with this whole saga. The most recent batch of Epstein files came out a couple hours ago. Millions of files, so people are still combing through them. But what they are finding is alarming. Trump's name, of course, is all over these files. His name appears more in these Epstein files than Green Eggs and Ham appeared in the fucking Green Eggs and Ham Dr. Seuss book. His name is everywhere with numerous allegations about terrible, awful things. Some things we had heard little bits and pieces about from previous Epstein releases, but this one has significantly more, including this FBI report that claims Trump has been compromised by Israel, which anyone who's been paying attention to this administration shouldn't really...
I did not mean to play that Australian government.
Be surprised at. I don't think anyone heard that and recoiled in their chair going, what? If anyone's followed everything that's been going on in regards to Trump and Israel, it should be no surprise that the FBI believed he was compromised, is compromised as well, most likely. But This is, again, new information that is hitting the public here from official sources in these Epstein files. These are big. Another huge name appearing in here is Bill Gates. So Bill Gates had an exchange with Jeffrey Epstein, and I think it's been known for a long time Bill Gates was associated with Jeffrey Epstein, but this information here is new that talks about how he contracted an STD apparently, and had asked Jeffrey Epstein to provide him with antibiotics that he could secretly dose Melinda with. He had contracted it from Russian girls.
Can you believe that? I can believe that. Bill Gates. I'm, using his product, Windows 11, right now. This guy. They're all scum. They're all disgusting fucking pedo scum. Bill Gates, Epstein, was it that British Lord, and the former Prince Andrew. Yeah, there was that British Lord Mendelssohn, who was ambassador to the US, He got that cushy job, I guess, because of Epstein and the connections. So do you understand? We are ruled by pedophile billionaire killers. Do you understand yet? Are you going to fucking wake up yet?
Apparently, another massive name coming in is Elon Musk, who had an email chain with Jeffrey Epstein that was...
Oh, surprise, surprise. Elon fucking Musk. Nazi prick throwing up salutes at the Trump's inauguration, going around whipping up anti-immigrant hysteria, and all across Europe, and also doing producing AI child pornography, which makes even more sense now. CSAM, child sexual abuse material. So yeah, with his grok on Twitter. So this makes perfect sense. Why is anyone surprised? And remember when he carried on? He dropped a tweet, what was it, last year, saying, DJT, Donald J. Trump is in the Epstein files. Have a nice day. And we're like, what? He just dropped it out of nowhere. And the fact is, he knows that because he was there with him. Just the fucking arrogance of this prick. That's why I hate Elon Musk fans. Even more than Elon Musk. I hate Tesla car drivers. I give them the finger whenever I see a Tesla driver. I don't give a fuck if you bought it before you knew and all that sort of shit. Why didn't you know, dickhead?
These files about him trying to plan a visit to Jeffrey Epstein's island, and he seemed to want to find the wildest party, the best time to come through to the island, and he was trying to make plans to go visit the island. These new files also expose blatant lies that a lot of really powerful people tried to peddle to get themselves out of hot water in regards to their close connection to Jeffrey Epstein, like Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is Trump's commerce secretary, and he claimed he cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein in 2005, yet in these files we can clearly see he was emailing Epstein in 2012, planning a trip out there, saying, "Hi,
2012.
Jeff, we are landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over to St. Bart on Monday at some point. Where are you located? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Mary Lehrman, with me on my boat, and each of us has 4 children. 2 16s, 2 14s, a 13, a 12, an 11, and a 7-year-old. Thanks."
Why would you list the names and ages like that to the world's most infamous pedophile? Good old Nutlick. Is it Nutlick? Well, it is now. I mean, fuck me. I mean, he's a piece. They're all scum. These people are fucking scum.
Howard. What a disgusting freak. He's even listing out the ages of the children that are joining them on their planned trip to Epstein's Island. This is in 2012. That's quite a few years after 2005, Howard. Seems like you told a big-time fib. Howard said that he had visited Epstein's house in 2005, but it culminated with him getting the heebie-jeebies. He called him gross and said that was basically kaput. That was the end of his relationship with Epstein. He washed his hands of him back in 2005, but that clearly wasn't true now, was it, Howard? These emails are from 2012, planning a trip out there and making a very odd mention of a bunch of children and their ages that will be joining you to Epstein's Island. Howard Lutnick is your U.S. Secretary of Commerce under Trump right now. This is your Commerce Secretary. And he is one of many very powerful politicians whom you'll find in these new Epstein files and previous Epstein files as well. These are just a few of many names, new names as well, very powerful people who appear in these files with alleged horrible, horrible things that they have done in connection with Jeffrey Epstein and the island. It is a big deal. This is undoubtedly just the tip of the iceberg here. This latest batch was millions of files, so there is still a lot of information out there that hasn't been adequately combed through.
And just to add to that, it's only 1% of the total of Epstein files have been released.
And still, what we are learning right now is heinous. And I feel like it should be pretty obvious that there needs to be investigations conducted here and maybe a little bit of fucking justice. Maybe some of these evil fucking demons getting arrested, perhaps. Why are none of these people in these Epstein files even being looked into at all? Why does...
Do you understand that there's a two-tier legal system? Remember all the fucking right-wing loser pundits going on about if you just comply and if you just follow the law, and all these talking right-wing fuckwits all going on about we need law and order, and their leader is a infamous pedophile. Donald Trump's all over that thing. He's all over the Epstein files. He's a rampant pedophile. I'm not going to say alleged, because it's obvious. It's fucking obvious. And nothing will happen to him anyway. He's never going to face court. He's never going to jail. Elites don't go to jail. Do you understand? You fucking peasants. And to all the right-wing scum out there, fuck you. You cried about law and order, you cried about the Second Amendment, you cried about freedom. All you fucking cunts were like, oh, don't tread on me. You're waving those fucking stupid rattlesnake yellow flags around. Fuck off. It was all lies. It was all bullshit. It was all utter crap.
Kash Patel lie under oath about there not being an Epstein list or clients or like co-conspirators, when we now have all this available evidence that confirms there definitely were co-conspirators. There definitely are clients. And there is nothing being done, not in this administration, not the previous administration, to hold any of them accountable or find them. This is...
And yeah, the Democrats are just as bad, if not worse. Joe Biden didn't do anything during the election. I would have been, if I was going up, I would be bringing this shit up every day during the campaign. He said nothing. He knew all this was going on. He knew about the Epstein files, obviously, and he said nothing. Fucking hell. They're all just in it together, man.
A huge deal that nobody should be trying to like minimize the importance of. For some reason, people are trying to pretend as though this is something we should just like brush aside, move on from the whole Epstein fiasco. That is craziness. There are people in the most powerful positions of government right now that are rapists and pedophiles that have got away with unthinkable crimes, and they need to be held accountable. We have so much information here. We have so many names, and we need them to be investigated. We need justice. I don't know why so many people are so okay with being governed by these monsters. It's baffling to me. It actually boggles my fucking mind. This latest batch shows even more evidence, shines even more light on these terrible, terrible things that unfolded here, and the close connections a lot of powerful people had to Epstein and the island. I'll continue to look into the files and see what else turns up from all of this. I'll be, of course, keeping my finger on the pulse.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there, folks. But this is the world that we live in, So just think next time some government official tells you some bullshit, and I don't believe anything the government says anymore. I don't believe any government. So, yeah, my takeaway message is that we are all ruled by pedophile, billionaire pedophile killers. And, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Like and subscribe.